Spontaneous labour is like a finely trained, highly skilled, synchronised swimming team. An amazing interplay between child who sent that signal of readiness into mum's bloodstream and mother responding. Almost routine use of these instruments, because we're having women on their back. I can't describe how incensed I am that we're still doing that in 2019. But women are not ill, they're just pregnant.
Hi, I'm Christina.
And I'm Sarah.
And welcome to What the Wellness,
a podcast brought to you by the Wellbeing Bureau. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of our podcast with Kemi Johnson. This is an episode that's really close to my heart, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about why and how I know Kemi before we get into the interview with her, which is absolutely amazing. So Kemi, I met Kemi when I became pregnant with my son and was going to pregnancy yoga classes, and Kemi came to give us a talk about hypnobirthing and natural birthing, and I instantly fell in love with her and knew that I had to go on one of her courses with my husband. And so we signed up to do a course with another couple, and it was a 2-day course. And throughout those 2 days, I learned so much about birth, natural birth, how my birth could be. And so did my husband. And she gave us so much knowledge, and she's so passionate and wonderful about birth that it gave me the confidence, and my husband as well, to have a natural birth, which I ended up doing. Had a natural birth at home with no pain relief, and the way that I wanted it to be. So I felt totally in control. It was a really long birth because my son decided he wanted his hand next to his head. But I managed to never be scared throughout the whole process. And that was one of the main things that Kemi gave me, which I will forever be grateful to her for. So that's how we know Kemi, and she's just an absolute force for good. And so here is Kemi Johnson, the amazing woman. Kemi, we are so excited to be here with you.
I'm very excited.
Welcome to our podcast.
It's been a long time coming. We've wanted to do this for a long time.
I know. It's brilliant to be here with you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, in your own words, how you see yourself in your role?
Yes. So I call myself a birth keeper, and not everyone knows what that is. But a birth keeper isn't always a midwife. It can be a doula or a journalist or a researcher, or we're a group of people who are driven to preserve the sanctity of birth, how it works, to facilitate it in the best way possible, to preserve the total well-being of the woman and the baby. So it's much more than them being alive at the end of birth.
Right.
So we all identify ourselves as birth keepers, but we have different roles in the birth keeping.
I love that term.
Yeah,
It's brilliant.
it suits us.
Yeah.
And it's we can't. It took a while for me to just claim and hold the role, because the people who are birth keepers and who've gone before as birth keepers, I mean, I've been so much awe of them that I didn't want to take that until I really felt I could wear it. So I do feel I feel I can wear it now. So
You absolutely
I
can.
absolutely am. Yeah.
That's amazing. Can I just tell you, when you say that word birth keeper, as a woman who hasn't had a child, and I've kind of been, I'm getting to the end of my, I have a few more days, but it's not over.
Okay.
But I'm there, and it's like, actually just you saying that word makes my understanding, whatever it can be, of childbirth. And there's almost like, oh, I've just been looking at this like you're shooting out a baby and it hurts, and then you have a baby.
Yeah.
But this is like, that brings actually so much more. So
there's another dimension to it.
Yeah.
That me as a scientist primarily I didn't see it. And it wasn't until I'd been around enough women to see the differences between ones that had been allowed the full rite of passage, as opposed to women who just got it done and survived it and were angry about it. And,
Right.
there's a difference. And it's largely about how you're treated and if you're honoured. And honoured by everyone, including partners, and honoured by your educator, and honoured by the hospitality, who got you food, who washed your feet, who brushed your hair, how was your child handled? Was it gently? Were they rough with your child? Because if somebody, it's getting emotional, if somebody manhandles a child, for you to cope with that is a combination of feelings. You're feeling grateful to be alive because your expectation is so low of childbirth. And then if someone kind of handles your child roughly, you don't want to stop them because you're feeling grateful to be alive, and possibly because you had such low expectations, you let your caregivers get away with stuff that really, when you're feeling whole and well and less vulnerable, you wouldn't tolerate. But then you feel guilty about it later.
You're so vulnerable when you've just given birth or in that process.
That's right.
I've heard loads of people talk about how, how traumatizing, not even birthing or the pain or anything, it's being treated like a piece of meat.
Yeah.
And, not being treated like a human being, which is like...
Yeah.
Awful in this day and age.
It's
Worst
unimaginable,
timing.
actually, and that's why a lot of people go into denial that it could happen to them, and then have to recover from it happening to them. So, like with Sarah and Garrick, what I noticed was they listened really keenly to what I had to say, but then they went and took some actions that many first-time birthers don't. So I think it's because of the way you approach life anyway. I think you were not willing to have this most precious moment taken away from you, the control of it taken away from you. But that's about the way you live your life generally. So, so you then applied that to preparing for birth.
Yeah.
Many of us are raised to be compliant and to see healthcare givers as God, and like that kind of external locus of control thing that happens where you expect to be saved.
A lot of people expect to go to the doctor and to get a pill.
Yes.
And that will make them better.
Yes.
Yeah, or even you're guaranteed a solution.
Yeah.
Something.
Yes.
You know more than me.
They're God, aren't they?
Yes.
So they're going to fix it.
But then that's not how it works.
It really isn't.
And you're just masking over whatever problem it is.
That's right.
Sometimes we don't want to take responsibility for anything, and then when something goes wrong, we can just say, okay, this, like taking responsibility for having heart disease or whatever, like trying to prevent stuff happening to you.
Yes.
Is taking responsibility and taking the steps to make sure. I don't know. I think we're brought up, especially in this country, to think that you just go to someone and they'll tell you what to do and you do it.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting, though, because it's like you're treating your own body. You're treating yourself like you're a piece of meat, actually.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're not just a thing you can take and put some salt and pepper on, and then it's all good.
And it's all good. But this is the truth of the matter, that actually all of us have created the situation that's occurring in childbirth. It's not that I can't point at the caregivers and say that's your fault. We've all done it, parents, partners, well, us as parents, but then our parents as well. We've all perpetuated this idea that when you're pregnant, you're ill or something that needs to be fixed. And that you're just, the woman who lacks the ability to go through this process without assistance. So, okay, just lie back, open your legs, we'll take care of it. And actually, there are many, many women that think that's normal and that's okay and comply.